Diddy sat at the defense table, expression locked in place as the courtroom braced for what had been teased by prosecutors for days. A new piece of evidence, something recorded. The air was heavy, restless. Then the audio started playing, and the voice everyone recognized cut through the tension. Jay-Z, clear, calm, familiar, not performing, just speaking. And in that moment, the atmosphere in the courtroom shifted. Diddy didn't move, but everyone saw it. The grip on the table, the blink rate changing, the realization setting in. Because for years, Jay-Z and Diddy were the power axis, running parallel industries, overlapping empires. From the 90s forward, they moved in step: music, business, culture, shared stages and deals, mutual endorsements. But what played over the speakers in that federal courtroom redefined that entire history. It wasn't a confession, it was a conversation. The context, according to prosecutors, was one of several private recordings collected during the investigation into Diddy's alleged criminal network. The voice on the other end was unmistakably Jay's, discussing operations, routines, language coded but clear when laid beside timelines from Cassie Ventura's civil suit and witness accounts from within Diddy's circle. Jay wasn't testifying, he wasn't in the building, but his voice had been captured in a discussion where details of what prosecutors called entrapment parties were casually referenced. Names, behaviors, protocols, no explicit criminal admission, but the tone was normalization, routine, like this was just how things were done in that circle. The reaction wasn't dramatic. Diddy didn't fall apart. He didn't shout. He didn't need to. The shift was in his stillness, in the fact that a name he counted on, one that had never been pulled into the legal fire, was now part of the case file. Jay and Diddy's relationship goes back over 2 decades. Co-appearances, shared ventures, overlapping networks. Public image was partnership. But behind that, as the court heard, were patterns of behavior that connected their circles beyond business. This trial didn't begin with Jay, it began with Cassie. In 2023, she filed a suit against Diddy describing years of violence, exploitation, and control. Her suit was settled almost immediately, but it cracked the structure. The feds moved, quietly. Then came the raids, the witness lists, the digital evidence, and now these recordings. In the courtroom, the audio was played alongside footage and testimony previously submitted. Statements from former assistants, security personnel, ex-partners, all building a picture of an organized system of manipulation, record-keeping, and blackmail. Jay's voice didn't narrate crimes. He wasn't describing abuse, but he referenced events that matched reports. He named places. He acknowledged people, some of whom had already testified under oath. The prosecution let the jury draw their own connections. The defense tried to argue irrelevance. The judge allowed it in. From that point, the courtroom was on alert. No one had expected this level of documentation. The prosecution's strategy was clear. Don't accuse through argument. Accuse through pattern. Let the jury hear how normalized this world had become among its most successful players. The audio wasn't the only hit. Testimony from Diddy's former assistant, David James, backed up parts of what Jay discussed. James spoke about routines, guests brought in through side entrances, phones collected, certain rooms off limits to most attendees. Surveillance wasn't just passive, it was part of the design. Everything was recorded. That matched with what Cassie's legal team had claimed. That matched with footage leaked before her case was sealed. And it all started to close in. Because now, there was not just a victim account, but supporting voices from inside. The Jay-Z tape wasn't a leak. It wasn't hacked. Prosecutors said it was submitted by a cooperating witness. One of several. And it came from a trove of internal recordings. A library, essentially, of conversations Diddy had maintained, knowingly or otherwise. Some were captured by internal surveillance systems, others from encrypted devices seized in the raids. Jay's voice was just the first. More names are rumored to be on the remaining tapes. High-level executives, other artists, people with spotless public records. When the tape ended, there was no outburst, but the silence after was pointed. Diddy sat forward. His team didn't speak. The jury watched. Outside, the media moved fast. Clips from the transcript, reaction from industry insiders. Some defended Jay, calling it a misunderstanding. Others distanced immediately. Artists who once collaborated with Diddy wiped social media. Brands disconnected. Jay's team issued no statement. No confirmation or denial. Silence. Back inside, the trial continued. But something had shifted. The prosecution now had a credible link between Diddy's alleged operations and a broader culture within his circle. The recordings didn't just damage Diddy. They painted a picture of shared knowledge, shared practices. The implications are massive. If more tapes link other major figures to the activities under scrutiny, if prosecutors show that these weren't isolated choices but collective strategies, it opens the door to a larger RICO case. And Jay's presence, even if passive, could be a precedent. Diddy may be the one on trial, but now the public is looking at the whole map. At who stood nearby, at who stayed quiet, at who was in the room. This isn't about headlines. It's about structure. And the court just showed how deep that structure runs. Jay's voice changed the room, not because of what he said, but because of what it revealed. That even the most insulated aren't off the grid, that the silence is cracking, that the recordings are real, and more are coming.